Have you been losing sleep trying to fix everything on your own? Do you spend nights wide awake, imagining every possible scenario, making plans, and still wake up with your heart feeling heavy? Maybe no one notices, but deep inside, you're tired of having to be strong all the time. The truth no one talks about is this: overthinking won't solve it. It only pulls you further away from the peace God wants to give you. Today, you're going to learn that you don't need to understand everything in order to rest. You'll discover how to let go, trust, take a deep breath, and allow God to guide what's out of your hands. This message was written with one purpose: to bring calm to your heart. Through Bible stories, promises of hope, and practical steps, it'll show you how to stop carrying the weight of the world and start living with lightness. Stick with me until the end, because maybe what you need most right now isn't another strategy, but more faith. And that piece you've been missing, it's closer than you think. Sometimes our mind feels like a stormy ocean, thoughts crashing back and forth like waves, trying to drown us in doubt, fear, and worst-case scenarios. It's like being in a dark room, feeling around for a way out, not realizing that God already turned the light on. Overanalyzing everything leads to paralysis, and that's exhausting, painful, and draining. But there's relief. Trusting God with all your heart. Trust isn't a feeling that shows up on its own. It's a choice we make daily. Most of us want to understand everything before we feel at peace, but real faith begins when we surrender. Control. Some people lie awake at night trying to predict every possible outcome, while God is whispering, "Let go. I've got this." Proverbs 3:5-6 isn't just a nice quote, it's a compass. It's about walking even when you can't see the whole path, knowing He's guiding every step. In practice, it looks like praying before making a decision, taking a deep breath before reacting, and reminding yourself, God's in control, and I can rest in that. It might sound simple, but it's powerful. Every time you quiet your thoughts to hear the Spirit's voice, something inside you aligns with heaven, and right there, you find peace. That's where the journey of trust truly begins to grow. Picture yourself standing on top of a mountain, blindfolded, hearing only a calm voice saying, "Come on, I'm right here." That's what trusting God feels like. It's taking steps forward, even when everything inside you is screaming for guarantees. It's admitting we don't have all the answers and being okay with that. Real peace isn't born from logic, but from surrender. A lot of people think that trusting God means their problems will disappear. But true trust is built right in the middle of the pain, the doubt, the chaos. It grows when you can honestly say, "I don't understand, but I trust you anyway." Romans 8:28 reminds us that all things work together for the good of those who love God, even the things that don't make sense right now. And that changes everything, because it teaches us to see through the eyes of faith. Living this out means letting go of arguments that only drain your energy and not trying to fix what only God can heal. It means choosing to pray before you start worrying. When your heart is shaking, trust becomes your anchor. And the more you trust, the more you realize God doesn't mess up the details. He never asked us to be perfect, just to trust Him. And when we do, life starts to align with heaven. Imagine a boat in the middle of the ocean, strong winds blowing, massive waves crashing, and a dark sky with no stars in sight. Panic sets in quickly when all you see is uncertainty. But what if the world's most experienced captain is on board? Someone who's sailed through every kind of storm and has never lost a single ship. That's what trusting God is like. He's the captain, and all we need to do is stay in the boat. When we try to grab the wheel ourselves, that's when things start falling apart. We wear ourselves out trying to control what's beyond our reach: a loved one's health, a struggling marriage, financial stress, an uncertain future. But God gently reminds us, you don't need to know how, you just need to know who is in charge. Isaiah 41:10 tells us, "Do not fear, for I am with you." It's not about control, it's about trust. Maybe you're in that boat right now staring at the waves, thinking everything is going down. But today, the invitation is to close your eyes, surrender, and remember, God didn't bring you this far to abandon you. When He's at the helm, no storm lasts forever. And even if the sea doesn't calm right away, your heart can find peace in the steady gaze of the captain. From that place of rest, something powerful begins to rise. Picture Moses, standing in front of the sea, with an angry army closing in behind him. From a human perspective, it looked like the end. But God doesn't need logic to perform miracles. He only needs faith. With nothing but a simple staff and a willing heart, the waters parted. That same God is still working today. He keeps making a way where there seems to be no way. The impossible is just a stage for the supernatural. Then there's David, a young shepherd staring down a giant who had an entire army paralyzed with fear. No armor, no height, no sword. But he had confidence, a heart aligned with heaven. While everyone else saw an unbeatable monster, David saw a chance to show the power of God. One stone, one step of faith, one unshakable conviction, and the giant fell. Sometimes God does the extraordinary through the simplest things. These stories aren't just ancient memories. They're living reminders that trust changes everything. When we choose to believe, even while afraid, we make space for heaven to move. You don't have to be Moses or David, but you do need the same kind of faith that says, God is with me. And when that faith wakes up, it doesn't just defeat giants, it uncovers miracles hidden in everyday life. Trust doesn't come out of nowhere. It's something you build, like a house on solid rock. The first brick is prayer, not rushed, scripted prayers, but real, honest conversations with God, where you drop the formalities and speak from the heart. Talking to God every day, even on the quiet days, turns fear into faith and anxiety into peace. The second step is diving into Scripture. The Bible isn't just an old book, it's a living compass. When you meditate on promises like, trust in the Lord with all your heart, something inside starts to shift. Verses become anchors in the middle of the storm. Set aside a few minutes each day, even just 5, and watch your mind begin to renew. Another powerful habit? Gratitude. Before going to sleep, try writing down 3 things you're thankful for. It changes your perspective. Also, being part of a faith-filled community strengthens the journey. A hug, a group prayer, a simple, "you're not alone," can reignite your hope. These small practices, repeated consistently, open the door to a deep, unshakable trust. Doubt isn't a sign of weakness. It's often the doorway to deeper discovery. A lot of people think doubting is sinful, but even the greatest people of faith had their moments of uncertainty. Remember Peter? He literally walked on water, but the moment he took his eyes off Jesus, he started to sink. And still, Jesus didn't shame him. He lifted him up with grace. God doesn't reject those who wrestle with questions. He welcomes the ones who seek with honesty. In those silent moments, when you pray and it feels like heaven is quiet, it's easy to think something's wrong. But sometimes God is simply teaching us to trust even without clear signs. Accepting. Doubt as part of the journey is like accepting clouds in the sky. They pass. What matters is staying the course, even with shaky steps. Faith isn't the absence of doubt. It's choosing to move forward in spite of it. If you're fighting those inner battles, it helps to write down your thoughts in a journal, read psalms that express raw emotions, or talk to someone you trust. God can use even your uncertainties to reveal His faithfulness. And with time, what feels confusing today can become tomorrow's testimony. So don't give up, even with the questions, because the answer might just be waiting at your next step. Fear can paralyze you. It whispers that staying put is safer, that trying is too risky, that dreaming just leads to disappointment. But the truth is, Fear only loses its grip when you take a step forward, even if your legs are shaking. That's what Abraham did when he left without knowing where he was going. That's what Mary did when she said yes without having all the answers. And you can do it too. Faith grows when it's set in motion. Overcoming fear doesn't mean pretending. It's not there. It means not letting it decide your next move. It's choosing to act, even with a racing heart. Sometimes simply getting out of bed, praying and saying, "God help me today," is already a win. Facing a tough conversation, starting that new project, believing in a fresh start. These are steps of faith, and each step feeds your trust, like wood keeping a fire burning. Be kind to yourself in this process. Some days you'll run, other days you'll barely crawl. But the point is to keep going. Philippians 4:13 says, "We can do all things through Christ, who gives us strength." So move. Don't wait to feel 100% ready, because often it's along the way that God shows you you already have everything you need. And right there, between fear and obedience, the miracle begins to take shape. God's power doesn't always come with lightning and earthquakes. Sometimes it shows up in the stillness of the night, when you finally sleep in peace, or in that moment when one door closes and another, totally unexpected, opens. His power often shows up in quiet but powerful ways. A prayer answered, emotional healing, a perfectly timed word, all of it, miracles hidden in everyday life. God works masterfully behind the scenes of our story. Maybe it's a friend calling right when you needed comfort, or a devotional that feels like it was written just for you, or even protection you only recognize days later. He doesn't need a spotlight to perform wonders. And the more you trust him, the more aware you become of those small signs from heaven. God's power also works inside us. It transforms attitudes, renews thoughts, heals old wounds. The person who used to explode in anger now responds with calm. The one who lived with constant anxiety now waits with peace. These invisible, internal miracles are some of the greatest. And when we recognize them, they fuel even more trust in the one who does far beyond what we ask or imagine. Building trust in God is like lighting a candle every day, simple but powerful. It doesn't take big rituals, just consistency. Taking a few minutes to pray in the morning, reading a short Bible passage, writing down a phrase that spoke to you. These small actions feed a big faith. It's like watering a plant. It might seem slow at first, but the roots grow deep. A strong spiritual routine starts with simple intentions. You can set up a prayer space at home, play worship music while doing chores, or begin your day with a psalm. Gratitude is also a powerful ally. By writing down 3 things you're thankful for each night, you start to train your eyes to see God's goodness even in the chaos. And that changes your heart. Staying connected to a faith community also helps you grow. Having someone to pray with, share struggles, and celebrate victories makes a difference. And serving others, even in small ways, is a practical way to live out your trust in God. Because when we stop focusing only on ourselves, we start to see just how much He's already working around us. This daily rhythm, though simple, gives your soul steady ground to stand on. Trusting God isn't about having everything figured out. It's about resting, even when nothing makes sense. It's choosing to let go of fear, release control, and believe that there's a bigger plan unfolding, even if you can't see it yet. Today's invitation is simple. Take one step. Just one. Maybe it's praying again, forgiving someone, or simply saying, "Lord, I need you." Now, take a moment and reflect. What is God asking you to let go of today? What part of your life needs to be placed in His hands with more faith and less fear? Don't wait for your situation to change in order to trust, and watch your situation change. Transformation begins with a decision of faith. And that decision is within your reach right now. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. There's so much more to come, each message another step in your journey of faith, hope, and purpose. You're not alone. God is with you.